Alright, today we're going to do a no start on a 97 Escort. This is the most reliable car I've ever bought for 700 bucks. All I've ever had to do was an alternator, and then just the other day on the way to work it just died on me, and I had no reason why, so I'll show you how to diagnose a no start on a 97 Ford Escort. It started when I was on my way to work. I was doing about 65 and it just stopped, just dead in the water, quit running. So pulled over, started it again, started okay. I drove it another 10 miles or so, and then I stopped it, started okay, and then I had no power, zero power. It was running but no gas, so I would even floored, I never got over 30 miles an hour, and then finally it just quit on me. And then it was, I'm telling you, one headache to troubleshoot this thing. Now, 3 things you need in the car, I've been told all weekend, and half a dozen trips to the auto shop. You need fuel, you need spark, and you need timing. I had fuel and I had spark, and turns out it was the timing belt. But of course that was the last thing to check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you everything that I broke down and checked myself. I'll show you how to check it, and then last but not least we'll end up on the timing belt. Now in this well, actually this car is very reliable as far as gauges and stuff. Every light of mine works. So when it shut off, I had no warning light saying it was going to shut off. So that right there tells me it was pretty catastrophic. I mean, basically, something bad happened real quick. But first of all, when something happens like that, you always want to check the fuse box. There's the fuses right there. This right here is a 15 amp. That's your engine. Always check fuses first. It's the easiest, and one little 50-cent fuse can save you a lot of headaches. So check that first. All my fuses were fine. I could smell gas, so I knew I was getting gas. But anyway, what happens is, with the lack of power, it told me it was a fuel issue. Now, on most cars nowadays, you'll have a fuel shut-off. It automatically shuts it off, and sometimes you'll get bumped. Well, here's my fuel switch right here. Pressed down means the gas is on. Now, if you want to reset it, you stick a screwdriver or something in there, butter knife right here. Pops up right there. That means the fuel is off. We want it down for on. Okay, it was on. So now I know that's not my problem. What did I do next? Well, with the lack of power, I was told my catalytic converter got so bad that it just got clogged up and wouldn't operate anymore. It's very rare for that to be the case, but I checked it anyway. Here's your catalytic converter right there. Now to take this shroud off, you have 10 millimeter. Everything on here is like a 10 millimeter, usually less. I found one for an 8 millimeter. There's one under there, right there, right there, and right there. You take all these off. There's your catalytic converter. 4 bolts. Unscrew it, drop it down, fire it up. Doesn't fire up there, then it's not your catalytic converter. So, continuing with the fuel check, I checked and I actually changed the fuel filter, and that's right there. You can see the silver top. Get my hand down on there, see if you can see it. Firewall right there. So that's been replaced. We're good on that. Still wouldn't start. Next, I checked these fuses. I checked these fuses anyway when you check the first one, but here's your main fuses for inside the compartment. Wasn't the fuel filter. Next, I'm checking the fuel pressure regulator. Now, the first thing you should do if you have a fuel issue is get a vacuum gauge, throw it right on there, and it'll tell you the pressure. But those are hard to rent. They're like 50 bucks. So I skipped that step. Here's my fuel pressure regulator. That seemed fine. I was getting fuel up in here, air getting in here, everything was okay on that end. Next thing you do after I checked all the fuel issues is we check for spark. Now here's my coil. Now to check for spark on a coil, you just unhook it, set it right there. While someone tries to start it, you'll get an arc. No arc? That's probably one of your problems. New coil's $100. Not a big deal. So that's how you check for spark on that. You got spark on all 4 of those, then you check the individual wires. Pull the plug out, take your screwdriver, wooden handle, this is just demo purposes, don't use all steel or whatever, anything electric. Always try to find a screwdriver with a wooden handle. You want to ground, put the plug there, and you'll get an arc from the plug to the screwdriver. I did all that, so we were good with spark. Okay, so we got the fuel with the fuel shutoff. We changed the fuel filter. One last thing. Okay, along with checking the fuel filter, we want to check the fuel pump. Now here it is, back seat. What happens is you can just, there's one clip on each side, right there and right here. Little lever right here. Just push it in. Seat pops up. Now here's your fuel pump. Now when you turn the key, you'll hear it come on. It's hard with the buzzer, so you usually want 2 people with this. A really easy way to check this is if you hold a screwdriver to this, you know, the pointed end, and put the other end to your ear. You'll hear a hum. Another way, throw your ear in there while someone turns the key. But like I said, I had all this. Everything's running fine. I could hear it. Fuel pushing up there, so I knew I didn't have a fuel issue. So now I got fuel coming to the car. I got spark because I checked all my spark. What's left? Timing. So now we go to the timing belt. Here's my timing belt right here. Now you can't tell, but what was happening was my timing tensioner was pushing up against this plastic piece. It was coming out. Now I taped over it. That's my fixed job right there. I'm not buying a new one, which you should. They tell you buy a new one, but you could see the pulley was wearing out the plastic. So before you do anything, just see if you can see a damage to this plastic case. It could be your timing. But you've checked all that, everything looks good. You want to take all this stuff off and get to your timing belt and look at it. Easiest way to do that is I got everything back on, but you want to take your guard off. This piece right here, and you can see your pulley system. Right there, you can see the round part of it. And there's that nut. You want to pull that off, and then this case, 10 millimeter, and then like I think 8 millimeter, 7/32 or something down there. Normal tools will get this off. So if you have a set, you'll have the correct tools to get this off. Once you get this off, you'll see the belt. But when I took mine off, I could see it was coming apart, so I instantly knew that was my problem. The only special tool you will need to get this belt off is an 8 millimeter Allen wrench, and that's just for the tensioner inside. Once you get this open, you need an 8 millimeter Allen wrench to loosen, get all that tension off, throw it on. Now here's a diagram of what the timing belt looks like. What you have to do is you have to line up your gears. You see this little pointed thing on your gear. You have that on here. And there's a little circle that you have to match the top one with. You see the triangle is pointing at a little black circle? That's your top. You have the same thing down on the bottom, right here. Got to line them up, top to top. Point to circle, point to circle, point to circle, point to circle. That's how you line them up. Once you have those lined up, you put the belt on. And make sure they're still the same. Now to get this, pulley off, the bottom one, that's this one down here. That pulley's hard to get to, but I showed it to you earlier. There's a bolt on there. It's 3/4. What you want to do is you want to throw that on there, and the motor spins to the right, towards the front of the car. So you want to put your 3/4 nut on there with the breaker bar. And what I did is I put my breaker bar up against this rail with the nut on there, nice and secure there, and I just started the car. Not like crank over, crank over, crank over. I just cranked it over once and it automatically loosened up. It was really quick and easy, super easy. Then you want to pull that assembly off. Now mine was easy and I just wobbled it loose and it came out, but you might need a puller. So if you're gonna do this, you want to go to the parts store once. You need the 8mm for the tension pulley. You got to make sure you have a 3/4 socket for this, and just for shits and giggles, get a pulley puller. They call them dampers too, a damper puller. What it looks is like a Y, and you put it on there, put your nut in there, and then pull it out. I was lucky and I didn't have to do that. Now we had everything on. Thought we were all smart. I mean, super easy job. If you have the patience and 20% auto knowledge, this is an easy job. But what happened was we didn't line up these things. The point on the top and the point on the bottom, they were like an 1/8 inch off. What happened was when we were putting the belt on, instead of getting enough tension on the pulleys to just slide the belt on, we kind of rotated the stuff to put the belt on like a bike chain. That doesn't work. Even a little bit off, this baby won't start. So we had to go and take off the pulley and that bottom one again and reline everything up. Once we lined everything up correctly again, car started over instantly. Had to give a little bit of gas, but then it fired right up. So make sure that these points are lined up the first time. If they're not, and you think it's close enough, it's not close enough. It has to be dead on. Everything in here is on a timing, so you want the bottom motor to match up with the top of the motor. If they don't match up at all, yeah, you'll have a no start. Like I said, we were an 1/8 of an inch off, and it wouldn't go.